This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyer Group.
This is Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to Karl Gerber, workplace lawyer, and I'm Karl Gerber. I am a labor lawyer of sorts, and I should tell you that I'm licensed in the state of California for almost 25 years. I got ordained to practice law in Texas in 2010. The same year, Massachusetts and Washington, D.C. I have been representing employees for a long time, and I've represented about 5,000 of them in California, maybe more. I've done over 1,700 cases in California for employees. And I know a lot about how it is to be an employment lawyer. You're going to get the inside scoop on how it is to be an employment lawyer. You're going to learn the tricks of it. You're also going to get inside the psychology of sexual harassers, not the really disgusting ones that have touched people. The guys that gave flowers to a woman, maybe lilies, and turned them off because you give lilies to some woman at the funeral. We're going to get guys like that on the air. You're going to hear how it is to be one of them and why they did it, if there is a why. We're also going to have real people talk who have been in cases. For instance, next week you're going to hear from Lorena Alamo, who was one of my clients in a case that went all the way to the California Supreme Court after I won it. And it got reversed for one word in one jury instruction. She's going to tell you how it is to go through the process of being in an employment lawsuit for as long as she was. You're going to hear about how it was to be the victim of a pregnancy discrimination lawsuit. You're going to hear a lot about emotions. Emotions are really big in employment law. A lot of people are pretty shaken up when they lose a job they've had for 20 years, their whole career, or they went through something awful like being sexually harassed. And so you're going to hear them talk about what that was like. And you're not going to hear that anywhere else. You're not going to hear from a lawyer like me anywhere else either, because when I first got into the business representing employees, I was the only person stupid enough maybe to advertise in the phone book as an employment lawyer. Back in 1993, it just wasn't such a big field. Now there's a lot of people doing it. But one thing I can tell you, and I can't guarantee anything to you as a lawyer, but this, I have taken more new client calls from employees in the state of California than anyone else alive. I started out getting 30 of these a week. It went to 150. I always wanted to have enough calls that I could get the good case, have a good operation where I'm doing a lot of stuff and I can, micromanage my employees and do all the heavy lifting myself. So at some point we started getting emails, and I started getting 1,500 of those a month. I started doing this nationwide. In California, I've taken about 110,000 new client calls, probably more. Nobody has screened that many. I've also gotten letters here and there from crazy people that think things are, implanted in their head by their employer, that sort of a mentality. So I've gotten to the point where I can get people on and off the phone pretty quickly, and I can tell them if they've got a case in less than a minute. And that doesn't set well with a lot of people who have just been fired and want someone to talk to. But there are only so many laws in California. And you're going to hear the live callers calling up on the show, and I do want you to call. You're going to hear them talking about that termination. You're going to hear the anger in their voice, the mystification when they find out that all these horrible things that happen to them in their mind are actually not against the law in California. So next week, I'd really like you to call the show. You can call in at 800-ABC-KABC. We want to hear from you if you have a workplace problem. But I've got to tell you something. If you come on air here, you're not going to have what's called the attorney-client privilege. Attorney-client privilege is something where you talk to a lawyer, no one gets to find out what you said. But if you call up on this show, the 2 or 3 people that might be listening have heard what you have to say. Under those circumstances, this is not going to be a confidential conversation. So if you have a situation at work that most likely is a case and you want to keep it confidential and you want it to be dealt with on a serious level, please give me a call at the office, 877-525-0700. You can call now. We have people that will answer the phone. We want to hear from you. But if you want to talk on the air and you want to get grilled by me, you might get poked fun of, and you want all of the audience to hear you, you should call 800-ABC-KABC. Now, I would like you to keep these calls related to employment. If you ask me questions about your apartment and the rent control statute, I'm not going to give you good advice. I'm not going to be able to tell you within a minute whether there's something here or not. And I'm not going to be able to have fun with the call either, because I don't know that subject. But if it's about your job, you've been fired, you're owed wages, there's some type of employment discrimination, we're going to have a segment about work injuries. We're going to have a workers' comp lawyer on the show with me who I know. You should call in if you have stuff like that. But I do want to tell you about the strangest new client call I ever got. And this one stands out in my mind because it really was weird. And it wasn't about employment. And this is not the kind of call I'm hoping to get on the show, but we're going to be dealing with some subject matters in this call that I want to get you ready for, because this is the kind of stuff you're going to hear about. So we're going to go back to when I was starting out, and I was young. I was in my mid-20s, and I started a law firm representing employees on credit cards. I had an office in Sherman Oaks on Ventura Boulevard, but I didn't want to work out of it. I wanted to work out of my apartment on Kester Avenue, not too far from the office. And the office, there's some reasons why I didn't want to work there, but that's what you can afford when you're starting out. It was one of these super 60s buildings with floor-to-ceiling windows. And I think who'd been in there before me was a wedding company. I don't know what kind of a wedding company, but the carpet was a strange reddish wine color. And there were smells in that building, and that's one of the reasons I didn't want to be there. The bathroom definitely had an odor. The elevator smelled like oil all the time. And on the other side of me, in this first office I had, I think there was some kind of an alcoholics business. So I like to work in the apartment. And the reason why I think this call I'm going to tell you about that I got from a client was really early on, probably about 1994, is I actually answered the call myself. And I remember in that apartment on Kester Avenue that not too long into it, I had a law clerk working in the dining room. I had the copy machine in the master bedroom where I worked. I had another employee working in that dining room. So this call must have been before then. It was real early on. And I got a call one day from this guy, and he's like, "Is this Mr. Gerber?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is Mr. Gerber." And I'm in my mid-20s back then. Being called Mr. Gerber wasn't where I wanted to be, but I went along with it. And he tells me, "Are you Mr. Gerber, the copyright lawyer?" "No, I'm an employment lawyer." He doesn't care. He just whizzes right by that kind of important fact. He wants to tell me about a trademark problem he has. And I'm thinking, okay, I was in law school and I took these intellectual property classes and I did really well in them and I got the highest grade in one class about unfair competition. So maybe I could talk to this guy. Who knows? And back then I really didn't know how to get rid of those new clients, which is something you learn as you practice a little bit longer. So I asked him, "So you got a trademark. Are you a business owner? Is this you? What is this all about?" And he tells me he owns a $50 million entertainment company, and one of the products is being infringed. I'm thinking, interesting. This is my chance to go represent someone in a $50 million company. And so he tells me that the product being infringed is very personal. And he tells me he wants unauthorized copies seized and destroyed. So I'm thinking, yeah, under the trademark counterfeiting statute, there's a procedure you can have those infringed copies seized and destroyed. It's sort of like an injunction. "I know," he tells me. "I've had a lot of experience with that statute." So the guy calling is sounding really professional, easy to work with, things are going well. I say, let's talk about the product that's being infringed. Is it a registered trademark? Because if something is registered as a trademark, it's going to get better protection. You're able to fight the fight a lot better. He tells me it's a service mark registered with the Trademark and Patent Office. So I say, by the way, what's the product we're talking about? He tells me, it's a toy that women would use in the bedroom. I say, a sex toy? In order to register something, it's got to be distinctive. How would anybody know that this product is from your company? Mr. Gerber, I've been in the adult entertainment business for 26 years. 11 as a performer and 15 as the owner of a big adult company. Everyone saw my male member when I was in the movies, and everyone knows what it looks like. There's no doubt about it. They would know that this product ain't mine. And he tells me this in a pretty matter-of-fact way, not kind of like the way I just told you. So it was obvious it was this guy's business. I told him, I understand we need to establish this as a valid mark and all, so I got to ask you a question. How exactly would we do that? We've got to show that people would know. He tells me, oh, this is so embarrassing. You have to know. Imagine if you're at your relative's house, you're in your nephew's house, and this product is sitting there, and it doesn't look like you, and it's unsightly, and it's not the right size. Just imagine that, Mr. Gerber. And whenever the clients start telling you that you've really got to do something about it, that's a problem. So we are on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I'm Karl Gerber, workplace lawyer, and we're talking about the strangest new client call I've ever taken. All right, so we're going to head into a break, but when we come back, you're going to hear of a rest about this riveting story about the man who's had a very private part being infringed.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a consistent force in fighting for the rights of California employees. They've represented thousands of employees in cases in which they've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, discriminated against at work, or owed wages individually or as a group such as a class action. The Employment Lawyers Group has maintained a high win rate and a serious record before the California courts. Please call 877-525-0700 for an experienced work lawyer. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, research the firm at worklawyerca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. If you hire the Employment Lawyers Group, your legal problem becomes theirs to solve.
Next. You're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. Whee-oh! You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Graduation season is around the corner. Let Job Genius power your job search. Job Genius offers free advice on job searching, resume writing, and interviewing. Visit expresspros.com/jobgenius today or search Job Genius on YouTube. Job Genius is brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. Whether you're a graduate or just looking for a new job, turn to Express for administrative jobs like customer service, sales, and accounting positions. Express takes pride in connecting the right people with the right company. Go to expresspros.com.
Next. You're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. Whee-oh! You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Graduation season is around the corner. Let Job Genius power your job search. Job Genius offers free advice on job searching, resume writing, and interviewing. Visit expresspros.com/jobgenius today or search Job Genius on YouTube. Job Genius is brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. Whether you're a graduate or just looking for a new job, turn to Express for administrative jobs like customer service, sales, and accounting positions. Express takes pride in connecting the right people with the right company. Go to expresspros.com.
This is Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to Karl Gerber, workplace lawyer. I'm Karl Gerber. You should be glad you're not. Before we broke, I was telling you about the weirdest new client call I ever got. It was from a gentleman thinking that his male member had been infringed. It was not an employment call. I was young. I did not know how to get him off the phone. So back to that riveting story, if you can recall, he's telling me that he wants this product, which happens to be on the market. It's infringed, and it doesn't look like his male member, but everyone in the whole world knows what his looks like because he's been in more movies than anyone else. And I'm telling him this is going to have to go to federal court, which is, not a fun place to be. It's very serious. As a lawyer, you can't walk around in a jury trial. You have to sit at your podium. And he wants these products seized. Now, the standard for that's irreparable harm. It means it's not just money damages. And he's telling me that, imagine going to a family party and that thing's sitting around and people think it doesn't look like yours and it's ugly or something like that. And so he's got irreparable harm. And he tells me, imagine if yours, this happened to you. And so I'm thinking like a lawyer. I want to sound like a lawyer. You've got to do that when you're talking to clients. And I was young and I wanted to show that I knew the law. So I tell him, well, you know what? There's something called an independent medical examination in California. And in employment, you're going to hear on the show that it's oftentimes an independent mental examination because we want to find out from a neutral doctor. In the case of employment law, it would be a psychiatrist if our client has suffered the emotional distress that they're claiming. And so I tell them there's an independent medical examination, IME. See, on the show, you're going to learn all these neat lawyer terms, and it's going to be fun, and you're going to remember them. It's not going to be like I'm preaching this stuff. So I tell them there's an IME. I think what we'd have to do is have an IME done of, guess what? What's inside your pants. And then the doctor could decide if that looks like the product floating around on the market. He is really impressed by me. This guy really wants to hire me. And I ask him, where are these products? And he tells me, San Diego. This is the way out of this call at the time. And now this is why I think this is before 95, because I got licensed in the Southern District of New York, a federal court, the one for San Diego. I got licensed there in 95. But at this time, I'd tell him, I'm not licensed in the Southern District of California, so I can't do this case. Of course, he tells me he wants to pay for me to get licensed there and all this stuff. I got rid of the call eventually. And I, thought this could be amusing to be helping the porno industry. But I got to tell you, after that call, I didn't want to do it. It wasn't for me. Now, the weird thing about this, I started telling a lot of my young lawyer friends about this call who defended cases, who defended companies. And they wanted this case. They wanted me to figure out who this guy was and call him back. Well, you go figure. So it's a couple years later. We're still in the 90s, and I've moved up in the world. I'm now not at the weird office building that we talked about with the smells and all that stuff. I'm now on Van Nuys and Ventura Boulevard in the newly remodeled Hamburger Hamlet building where I have my own bathroom and a wet bar. And so I got a call on the phone. I'm looking out the window as I take the call, and I see these people going up and down the street that look like they might be in the porno industry, because what I didn't realize was World Modeling Agency was just up the street, just south of the 101 freeway, and so they'd come in, they'd eat in Hamburger Hamlet, then they'd walk back to World Modeling Agency. So, in a way, I had kind of become part of the business, but I lived in the San Fernando Valley, and this was the 90s still, and so what can you expect? So I got this call from this guy. Calls me up and he tells me he's got an MBA, and it was somewhere good like Duke, something like that. And he tells me he's been accused of sexual harassment. And I was still kind of a new lawyer, about 4 years into my career. And I thought maybe I would stoop down to that level of representing someone being accused of such a thing. But I wanted to make sure this wasn't the kind of guy that did something really bad, touch somebody. And when we get the sexual harasser to call in, and I hope they do for one of our shows, we want to get in their psychology. Remember, 1-800-ABC, KABC, or give me a call if you want to talk about it off the record at 877-525-0700, Employment Lawyers Group. But that sexual harasser that calls, not someone that's got a problem and is looking to molest people, just like one of those benign harassers we talked about. But anyways, back to what I'm supposed to be talking about, which is the guy with the MBA, maybe from Duke, who's being accused of some form of sexual harassment. I ask him, what happened? He tells me, oh yeah, I'm like some big executive in a screw company, and I was up in the Bay Area, San Francisco to be more specific, and I had a female subordinate in the car, and they're accusing me of saying to her, do you want to go see blah, blah, blah at that really famous adult theater in the Tenderloin district. No names mentioned, but I think, pretty important thing in California history. And so I take the case. I agree to defend him on this charge. And at that time, there was this big confusion in California about, can you sue somebody for discrimination? Can you sue an individual for employment discrimination, or can you only sue him for harassment? Which, by the way, I don't think that makes any sense. It's bad law. It's been on the books now for 20 years. But at any rate, this guy, I got the other side convinced that he engaged in maybe discrimination, but not sexual harassment, because it was an isolated act. It was just this one weird stray comment that was said, not enough to be harassment. And so he should get out of the case individually, because what they were trying to say is he discriminated against someone, and I don't know that he actually did that. So it was all right. I mean, this guy did well. He got out of the case. I got him out really quickly. And I felt okay representing him, because he seemed like this really nerdy guy. I think he was probably in his late 50s at the time. He had a hairdo that, well, I don't think he had a toupee, but it looked like he did. He had thick glasses. He worked for a screw company. What more can I tell you? So he thought I did an okay job. I get a call in the office. I don't know if I'm still on Van Nuys and Ventura. I'm in my own building on Ventura by then. But he tells me that his girlfriend's been sexually harassed. And he tells me, it's a boss that did it. So I'm thinking, okay, this is good. This is sexual harassment. It's boss harassment, strict liability, company liable for it, regardless of whether they're on prior and advance notice. This guy's harassing her. So have her come in. He brings her in. She's 19. He's got to be in his 60s by now. He's wearing a T-shirt, better hairdo, girlfriend, green hair. And remember, this is the 90s still. Not everyone had green hair and tongue rings. I think she had I know she had a tongue ring. That was probably one of the allegations in the case. So anyway, she's working at some company, and they x-ray her private parts. It's an x-ray company. But they use these x-rays to go and market their products. So that's invasion of privacy. It's also one of the acts of sexual harassment. I get her an okay result. Pretty good. And so I got a call back. Now we're into this century. You're listening to Karl Gerber, workplace lawyer. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC, and we're talking about some of the clients that I've had over the years as employees, trying to give you some interesting stories on this so that you can learn a little bit about the law without getting bored. You've already heard about boss harassment, strict liability. So I'm telling you about now this man who has an MBA from pretty good school. I think it was something like Duke, who starts out working for a screw company, gets a 19-year-old girlfriend with green hair, comes back to the office a couple years later for a new case, and he tells me when he comes back to the office, and by this time I'm definitely in my own office building on Ventura Boulevard, no smelling bathrooms, nothing like that. And he tells me, I broke up with the 19-year-old girl with green hair, but we're still really good friends. And, guess what? She got me into the porno business. And this guy at this point is definitely late 60s, at least. Red hair, I would say, spiked, cool-looking T-shirt, definitely wearing an earring in his ear. Different image than when I met him before with the screw company. Kind of screwy, if you go figure there. So he tells me that he really was sought after in the industry because of his MBA, and he gets recruited from this company, a groundbreaking adult company, and he tells me that they really wanted him, and they got him there, and they gave him this contract. It's an employment contract. I can handle a breach of employment contract, but this is going to be the porno industry. So finally, years later, I'm getting my time to go up against that industry, and I should take the case for breach of contract. Well, you know what? I did. I took it. I got a result. It was pretty good. And that, for a little while, was my involvement in that industry in the San Fernando Valley. So this is Karl Gerber, workplace lawyer. We are on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're going to break in a minute. If you feel like calling my office with a legal question, 877-525-0700. We actually have operators standing by. If you'd like to call the station, you may do that too at 800-ABC-KABC. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you more about how it is to be an employment lawyer representing employees, some of the crazy cases I've had. You're going to get insight into what the different legal theories are, how the clients are, and you're going to come to understand that I'm not afraid to represent all different kinds of people. I represent people who make minimum wage. I represent people like my MBA client working as a president in some big adult company.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a results-oriented law firm whose goal is to get the client what they deserve. They've represented thousands of California employees who've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or were owed wages on an individualized or group basis, such as a class action. They have a rate of success. There are few situations involving employment law that they have not confronted. At the forefront of employee rights, they're often the first employee law firm to confront a new legal issue. For an experienced employment lawyer, call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, read more about the firm at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Make your work problem theirs to solve.
Talk Radio 790, KABC News Update. I'm Steve Cumming. Authorities are still searching for 29-year-old Travis Reinking, the man they believe is behind a deadly shooting at a Waffle House in Antioch, Tennessee, that killed 4 and wounded 2 this morning. A North Korean source has told CNN that Kim Jong-un has committed himself to the path of denuclearization and will now focus solely on economic growth and improving the national economy. And according to a report in the Wall Street Journal, President Trump will ask Kim to dismantle the country's nuclear arsenal without conceding significant ground on economic issues. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is demanding the Federal Aviation Administration increase inspections of aircraft maintenance after his office renewed agency records and found that enforcement and fines specifically for maintenance issues have dropped over the last several years. KABC SoCal weather mostly clear this evening with low clouds and fog, lows in the lower to mid-50s. More news coming up and continuous coverage on KABC.com. I'm Steve Cumming, Talk Radio 790, KABC News.
Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, founder of Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep changed the way America sleeps with our custom-built mattresses. We've taken customized sleep to the next level with the Helix Pillow. Our all-new pillows are fully adjustable, so you can achieve perfect comfort regardless of sleep position or body type. We have thousands of 5-star reviews, plus you get 100 nights to try us out. Get up to $125 off your mattress order when you go to helixsleep.com/talkradio. That's helixsleep.com/talkradio.
Hi, Tom Bodette with a word on fusion cuisine, where you mix one country's food with another one. I always call that stew, but whatever gets you to dessert. But whether you like a French vichyssoise with Thai chili oil, or you're more into the fusion of American burger and French fry, you'll save more for that meal at Motel 6. It's an intriguing mix of clean, comfortable, and low prices, or as we fusionistas call it, clic-colo. I'm Tom Bodette from Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Color is coming in waves at the Home Depot. Petunia waves in colorful 4-packs. Right now, get 2 for only $8. Plant them anywhere you want a cascade of color, from your flower beds to your window boxes, on the fence, patio, or hanging baskets. For vibrant color that will last well into the fall, better catch the wave. Petunia Wave 4-packs, 2 for only $8. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. While supplies last, selection varies by store.
It's a great time to let go with the Samsung Spring for Something New event. Upgrade and save on the latest Samsung appliances, like the Family Hub refrigerator and the Flex Wash and Flex Dry laundry pair. Upgrade to Samsung appliances today and get up to $500 back. Shop now at your local retailers or Samsung.com. $500 Visa reward cards. Requires purchase of 3 or more appliances over $5,000 in online plan. Excludes Chef Collection. See Samsung.com for terms.
Talk Radio 790 KABC, Workplace Lawyer. Here, Karl Gerber on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. Before we broke, I was telling you about some of the clients I've had and how there can be referrals, and a gentleman who started out with a very bad hairdo, an MBA, working for a screw company, who tells me when he comes in years later that his 19-year-old girlfriend with green hair got him into the porno business, and anyone with a camera and a hotel room could be in that business. And he had a case where this really big, groundbreaking adult entertainment company that started out in Europe breached his employment contract. So I took the case because it was down there really just an employment contract that was breached, nothing unusual, and I dealt with it in a business-like manner, realized that I'm suing an adult entertainment industry that goes by about 10, maybe 15 different names, and who knows where the money is, but it went okay. We won the case. A magistrate made some rulings and decided that their claim wasn't very valid, that there was no contract because the signature was missing. So, anyways, I had my chance a little bit to at least take on that industry, but by 2008, I was moving on in the world. I'd been in a partnership called Dans & Gerber representing employees statewide for some time, and I decided I wanted to go out on my own and become a nationwide employment lawyer, which I actually did. That's why I became licensed in 4 states. At one time, I had lawyers working for me all over the country, but I determined that it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to be doing. So at any rate, I got a call one day, and it's a sexual harassment case, and that's what I'm doing, so it's pretty good. This is a lady who is working in a medical van that drives around with a doctor making geriatric house calls. This is some program that's funded by a big university. And of course, guess what happens in the van? She's sexually harassed. All right, so, it's just a run-of-the-mill sexual harassment case. I get through it, great. And this is probably now, 2008 or 9. I get a call saying, my sister's got a sexual harassment case, and I'd like to know if you can take it. I ask her, what's this all about? She tells me it's her boss that did it. She's working at a mall store, and it's a big retail location doing business nationwide, which I thought was pretty good because as an employment lawyer, you learn that if you sue a lot of small businesses, you may get judgments you can't collect. I don't like to sue small employers, is the truth. I don't like to do it for a lot of reasons. One of them is my client doesn't get a sense of justice if I have an uncollectible judgment, which has happened many times. But so anyways, the lady that was sexually harassed in the van has her sister come in, and she tells me that she's working in this mall location for this retailer there. And the manager was sexually harassing her, doing a lot of the things that I hear people doing when they're sexually harassed. So I take the case, and I get this call from the defense lawyer, and we get these calls from the other side early on in the cases, and we refer to them as psych out calls. We are supposed to be psyched because there's some startling detail about our client we don't know, like they wore a green shirt to work, and this somehow makes the whole case bad. So I got a call from this defense lawyer, and he tells me, there's something I tell you about your client. Do you know that she's been in movies? I don't know. She's working retail, making near minimum wage. What are you talking about? She's been in movies. It's like, well, there's this research I've got to do on this case, but I can't do it at home, and I can't do it at work either. And so I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And by the way, I think he has a Southern accent. And so eventually he tells me he thinks my client's been in a movie, the kind of movie like the guy with the MBA eventually was making. So I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. If you get some more information on this, please call me back. So he calls me back, and he gives me a lead. I don't know, it could have been the title of something. And so I don't really want to do this kind of research at work because I'm the boss at the company, and you don't really want to be doing that kind of stuff at work. And I didn't really want to do it at home either because at the time I had one young kid, I had a wife, I had a kid on the way, and I didn't really want to be doing that kind of research at home. But I had to. So I found something that I saw, And there were a lot of people in, and I was supposed to be looking for my client, who I did not recognize, really, because when I saw her, obviously she was clothed differently, and I was supposed to be in this forensic research trip, figuring out she had a tattoo, and so I'm looking at this thing, and there are all these people in it, and I'm looking for the tattoo, and I can't figure out if my client's in this. But then I hear a voice, and the voice sounds just like her sister, the one who was sexually harassed in the van making geriatric calls. So, all right, whatever. So I talked to her about this. She's like, yeah, I was hoodwinked into doing a movie. I'm like, okay, that's good. Now I know what's going on. I know how to defend it. No case is perfect. I can handle it, because you always get negative facts, and the sign of a good lawyer is you take the negative facts, you run with them, and you still win the case. So I go and I take the deposition of the man who worked for the retail store in the mall who allegedly did these acts. And I'm asking him some questions, and I'm getting the sense pretty early on, this guy is just sort of making stuff up as he goes along. He's telling me that my client's sitting on his lap, giving him lap dances when they're doing some kind of accounting. A lot of what he's saying doesn't jive. So I decide I'm going to ask him the real question, the one I don't know the answer to. I don't know what he's going to say. And in trial, you don't want to ask somebody a question you don't know what they're going to say. But this is a deposition. This is a process where I got to figure out what this guy is going to say at trial, and the thing is under oath, court-reported transcribing it. I can read it in trial. So I ask him, do you have sex with my client? He tells me he did. Oh, interesting. So where was this? Oh, it was in this improbably small room in the mall location, probably when there were customers there. Okay, so what happened? Well, he tells me the event consummated prematurely, prophylactic style. So that was pretty embarrassing. And, not for my client, but for him, if that really was true. So obviously that case had to be over with. The guy could not go on with the world knowing that in the improbably small room, this premature event happened in that way. So that case was over with. And about a year later, I'm in the downtown Los Angeles courthouse. I'm trying a case. It's a pregnancy discrimination case. And I'm doing what we call voir dire. What that means is we're able to talk to the jury to find out if they have biases against our client, against the kind of thing we're suing for. There's something about them that makes them biased, and they shouldn't be on the jury. And there are a couple rules as an employment lawyer. You want to get people off the jury if they're in human resources, because human resources is not going to help. They're not going to go vote for the employee 9 times out of 10. So I've got this lady there who's telling me she's in human resources, and I ask her, so who do you work for? Oh, I work for the big retailer on the mall with those improbably small rooms in the back. She didn't talk about the rooms, but you know what I mean. And so I asked her, oh, really, was that store with the improbably small room in the back, was that within your jurisdiction? Yeah, it was. Oh, interesting. Do you know so-and-so premature guy, he has some issues that way? Yes, I do. Was he in your jurisdiction? Oh, yes, he is. Did you hear about the case in the improbably small back room with the manager who couldn't finish what he was doing? Oh, yeah, I know about it. Okay, so we get to do what we call ding jurors. We get to get rid of a certain number of jurors that we think are biased. That's what you do in voir dire. And luckily, I didn't have to waste one of my preemptory challenges because the defense lawyer dings her. He figures we're having some personal, private conversation, or she knows what kind of damage I did to this company, whatever. She gets off the case because of the defense lawyer, not me. Great. Next person on the jury, who are you? Oh, I run a catering company in North Hollywood with my husband. Okay, great. You can stay. I don't watch TV. What I do at night is I read about new employment law cases. One of them or two of them comes out a day, so I don't know what's going on with TV. I find out after this case is over with that this woman who ran the catering company in North Hollywood with her husband, her real job is she played the part on a really big TV show of somebody's sister, and when I did this trial back in 2009, I don't think that TV show was on the air, but it is again now. So, we've got this trial for pregnancy discrimination against this new, really big retail establishment that's come to Los Angeles. I've got a client who doesn't speak English, who is fired, mistreated, all kinds of things in this warehouse. And the jury does not want to leave this case because they want to hang out with the sister on the TV show, and they want to hang out with another person on the jury who happens to have some big part in a TV show involving a guy who makes a lot of trouble and had a really bad personality. So the Star Trek jury just keeps deliberating. And I'm going to tell you what happens when we come back to Karl Gerber, workplace lawyer. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC. Stay tuned for what happened in that exciting pregnancy discrimination case when we come back.
The Employment Lawyers Group is a results-driven law firm whose goal is to get the right result for the client. They have represented employees with a high rate of success since 1993 throughout the state of California. They're only paid and if they are able to collect money from the employer, so there's not any upfront fees or costs in order to hire them. They have represented thousands of employees who've been terminated from their jobs, sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or are owed wages in an individualized or group basis such as a class action. Call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have operators standing by. They can also be reached at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Hire them and make your workplace problem theirs to solve.
Next, you're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Message and data rates may apply.
Guys, got hair loss? I know what you're thinking. Should I shave my head? Comb it over? Wear a hat? Just stop. This isn't 1970. Keep your hair and your confidence because Bosley, the LA area's #1 hair restoration expert, can give you your real hair back permanently. Check them out today because they're giving away an absolutely free information kit and a free gift card to everyone who texts LIFE to 85850. Dude, you don't have to look like your dad because this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment. People all over the country trust Bosley because they're ahead of the curve. They use the latest technology to give you your real hair back. And the best part, Bosley's permanent solution is protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Let them show you for free how awesome your hair could look with an absolutely free information kit and a gift card for $250 off. Text LIFE to 85850. Ask about the Bosley Guarantee. LIFE to 85850.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of
This is Talk Radio 790 KABC, and you're listening to some old tunes there from about 1980. I'm Karl Gerber. The show is Workplace Lawyer. Before we broke, I was talking about a jury trial I did. It was a pregnancy discrimination lawsuit in the downtown Los Angeles courthouse, and I had a starstruck jury. I had one really big TV actress in the jury, and I didn't know it at the time because I don't watch TV. I'm always reading the law. And we had another lady on the jury that was on another big show at the time. So the jury is deliberating. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with the case. And it's going on a long time. And a lot of times when you represent employees or you represent plaintiffs, the thought is if they're deliberating a long time, that means you've won. So the defense lawyer is getting a little concerned. I'm called into chambers to be told there might be a settlement offer. which there was. And of course, my client did not want it. I wasn't particularly interested in it. I let the jury come back with their verdict. They don't find pregnancy discrimination because they believe they can't figure out what's what, because my client's saying one thing, the manager's saying another, but they find intentional infliction of emotional distress. They award her damages. They're reading out that verdict, and then I hear the magic words, the words you want to hear as a plaintiff's lawyer, as an employee lawyer: punitive damages. Those are the damages designed to punish people that are bad, people that act maliciously, oppressively, or with fraud. You get them in 10% of all cases. If you're lucky, I've got them in maybe a third of my cases. So I'm the man in the courthouse. I'm the man in the courthouse. That afternoon, I am excited. It's 2:30. I'm ready to go into that punitive damage phase trial. Usually there's going to be a little bit of a break before you just roll into that kind of thing. Due process, let the company figure out how they can defend this terrible thing, which I remember one lady who has one of these records like mine where she says she's won a lot of cases. She says that was her worst nightmare, defending it. So I'm going to get punitive damages. It can be 10 times what our actual damages are. And it's 2:30 on a Friday, and the judge says, where are defendants' witnesses who are going to testify about punitive damages? They're not here. And I'm like, well, they're on my witness list. They're supposed to be here. And I'm told they're in federal court testifying. So judge says, okay, it's now 3:00. Usually court's over with at 4 on a Friday. I am dismissing punitive damages because these witnesses aren't here. This was about a 1 in 50 chance of happening, probably less. Most judges would have put it over to Monday. It wasn't my fault that these witnesses for the company weren't there. So he dismisses punitive damages. I go home really depressed. I am just thinking we could have settled this. How did he take this away from us? I've got this great appeal. Everyone knows it's great appeal. I'm talking to other employment lawyers about this, and they're literally sending me condolence cards. This is just the craziest story anyone's heard. So, what happens? The case settles for exactly what was offered in trial. And I knew I had a great appeal, but, what are you going to do? The client at some point doesn't want to be in the case anymore, and this is an example of our judicial system. So I'm back in the same downtown courthouse about a year later trying another pregnancy discrimination lawsuit. I don't know what this is. Everyone thinks I should try these pregnancy discrimination lawsuits. I don't know why they're not reading that I've won them and they're going to lose them. So, if you think you want me to represent you, you can call my office, 877-525-0700. We have operators standing by, 877-525-0700. I'd love to talk to you about any type of employment problem you're having, but back to the matter at hand. I'm back in the courthouse doing another pregnancy case that my client isn't sure she wants to do. She's rightfully so moved on with her life, but what choice do we have? We go to a mediation on this, and you're going to meet a mediator on this program. We're going to bring one in, and they're going to talk to you about how usually the employment cases settle with a mediator, and they don't settle any other way. So in this second pregnancy trial, we had a mediation where the defendant offered $20,000. We're not going to take it. It's not close, whatever. We start the trial. Client doesn't really want to do it. She's moved on. And they offer more money in the trial. Well, I should say the mediator made a mediator's proposal. Doesn't mean defendant offered it. It means it's what the mediator thought both sides would take. And it wasn't a lot of money. My client was willing to do it, but the company wasn't. So we go through this trial, and the judge is there one day and asks the defendant, don't you want to bring a motion? Is there a motion you want brought? A motion is when you move the court to do something like to throw out some part of the case. And the defendant says, no, nothing right now. So judge realizes this guy isn't picking up on the cue, and he says, okay, I'm making a motion to dismiss punitive damages. I'm like, not another one of these. No reason for it. Shouldn't have happened. But anyways, we win the case. And we win this tremendous amount of damage. We win 5 years of lost wages for this lady who made near minimum wage. And we win this very large amount for emotional distress. And I'm, of course, having to defend the appeal on that because the defendant is saying it's too much money. And this verdict is like 4 or 5 times what the mediator's proposal was. I don't know. It's 15 times what they would have settled for back when there was a mediation. And they still don't settle. It goes on and they lose the appeal. And so at the end of the day on that one, they ended up paying so much more than it could have settled for before the trial. So I want to share with you something that I have to say about employment law. And you may think this is strange, but it's just where I'm coming from on these cases. I remember seeing a movie, and there was a very famous actor in it, and it was near the end of his career, and I think he died shortly thereafter. He was supposed to have been a 4-star general, and he disobeyed the president's order, so he had to go to a military prison. And he was famous, he was a 4-star general, and so the warden of the prison wants to meet him when he comes in. He's waiting for the warden, and some subordinates showing him a bunch of trophies in the warden's office. And the trophies are things like bayonets, things you kill people with, trophies of war. And so the warden's assistant asked the 4-star general, well, what do you think of this collection? And the 4-star general looks at it and he's like, this stuff is terrible. I've been in battle. It's never where you want to be. I've seen people killed with this, the worst atrocities. This is nothing to showcase. Only someone would showcase this who has never been in battle. And you can see that the warden is overhearing this, and of course he's the guy who hasn't been in battle, and it wasn't a 4-star general. And he wants to showcase all his trophies of war. Well, that's my philosophy at this point on cases. The judicial system has great points to it. The jury system is great. A lot of times juries come to the right conclusion for the wrong reasons, but especially in employment cases, there's a reason for the employee to try to resolve them. So many of these cases involve damages where the employee is going to get lost wages or emotional distress, and it may be a small amount of money. It may be $5,000 or $30,000, but if the employee wins on a case for unpaid wages, for discrimination, sexual harassment, the company has to pay their attorney fees. And those attorney fees end up being $300,000, $500,000, huge amounts of money, more than these people's lost wages. And what happens is the employee in a settlement gets to share a very large part of that money that normally would go to the lawyer if the case gets tried. So the funny thing about this is it's really better for the employment lawyer if the case gets tried, because then we can get paid for every hour we worked and get a real hourly rate. Whereas if we settle these, we're getting, I don't know, some of these could be $30 an hour. Some might be $100 an hour. You can't hire a lawyer, a real lawyer who's going to go try a case, do depositions. They're not going to work for $100 an hour. So the point is, there has to be another reason why we are doing this. And early on in my lawyerish days in law school, I realized that people spend their most productive hours of the day at work. And they spend a lot of hours there. And these are the hours they're awake. These are the hours that they're devoting from their life. And if there's something wrong going on at work, it's a really bad experience for someone. And so people have got to be out there protecting the rights of employees. And that's why I do this. I'm Karl Gerber. This is Workplace Lawyer. This is a show you're going to hear every Sunday night at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock on this AM station, 790. I'd like you to tune in next week. I'd like you to call the program if you have an employment issue at 800-ABC, KABC. I'd like to hear from you during the week if you have something going on at work. I am a real lawyer licensed in California. We have offices throughout California. We probably have one close to you. In every county that you're hearing the show, we have an office. We only do these cases on a contingency. We're never paid anything unless we win. And so we'd like you to call us at 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. We have operators standing by. We take these calls all the time. If you had any problems at work, you're fired, you're unpaid wages, sexual harassment, pregnancy discrimination, please do give us a call. If you want more information on the law firm, we'll give you an easy URL. WorkLawyerCA.com. That's WorkLawyer, all one word, CA at the end.com. That's one of our websites. And I would encourage you to go to that site. But if you have serious legal questions, you need to talk to a lawyer. Don't rely on this program for legal advice. Do call us at 877-525-0700. Next week, we'll be on the air. We'll be on the air with all kinds of calls coming in. We'll have a mediator, an actual well-known mediator in California for employment law cases. We'll have the litigant from Alamo versus PMIC talking about how it was to be in a case for a long time and how it was to suffer pregnancy discrimination. And I would encourage you to tune in, same time, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock on this station, 790. This is Karl Gerber, workplace lawyer, on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Thank you for listening.
This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyer Group. 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 Employment Lawyer Group.